Subscribe to the Light Sport Ultralight Flyer web video magazine with hundreds and hundreds of videos now online, including airshow coverage, Rotax engine tech tips, Rotax 377, 447, 503, 532, and 582 engine rebuilding videos, each 2 hours in length, propeller maintenance, advisories and repairs, BRS parachute saves, Bing carb updates, and much, much more. Get a yearly subscription at www.ultralightflyer.com. Dan, this is a beautiful little airplane.
It is kind of cool, isn't it? And you know, we already know this airplane, Dave, from this word here, Savage. A name I was never particularly fond of because this airplane is anything but Savage. But it's got a new name now. It's called I-Cub now. And it's got a whole new cowl to go along with that supports the Cub look. And indeed, that's a very Cub-like cowl, complete with the air vent here in the backside. But there's a reason why it's an I-Cub and not just a Cub. And in truth, this isn't a Cub. It'll outperform a Cub. It's got a shorter couple on the length of the fuselage. It's got a Rotax engine in here, not a Continental engine. And put all that together, it makes the airplane lighter, more responsive, and it'll perform better. Now, it's still not a fast flying airplane. This is not a cross-country cruiser. This is a bush airplane. Just have a look down here at this tire. Now, this is a big boy tire on this thing. And they've got several options on this. It's also got a long gear on it, so we're seeing quite a deck angle on this. That's not necessarily the same on all of them. This is a particular set of options here. We'll talk about the 4 different variations they've got and their price points a little bit as we go through the talk here.
So why do they call it the I-Cub then?
Well, let's have a look inside, and that's how we'll know for sure. If you look up here on the panel, there's a thing that's pretty familiar to anybody that's been watching TV in the last few weeks, because that's an Apple iPad up there. That is the main instrument in this airplane. And indeed, there's a bunch of applications that have been made for the iPad that are for flying. Some very sophisticated stuff that does all the same things you see, or virtually all the same things you see from the Dynon and Garmin guys that also do some wonderful instrumentation. But there's an advantage to this. This thing you can pop out. It's got a nice little an arrangement here that just holds it in position, but it's one of these thin little iPads. When you get done with a flight, you can take this thing inside. For starters, you can watch a movie on it, or check your email, or do all that other stuff you can do on a modern computer. But you could also pre-program your next flight while you're sitting in the comfort of your motel room or your tent, or if you're camping or whatever you're doing. But even that's not the only reason why this is an I-Cub, because, well, that's what you got up front, but what do you have in the back? Let's have a look back here. And back here, the rear seat instrument is an iPhone. And the beautiful thing about this is these two talk to each other without a wire. This airplane's got onboard wireless, so that this instrument talks to this instrument without any use of wires, which means that if there was a couple of you up in the air and you were close enough, and you weren't using your telephone, because we know that's not legal, but you could send information back and forth between the airplanes. So it's a very modern development in what looks to be a vintage airplane. But what a cool idea to marry modern technology like the Apple iPad and the Apple iPhone to a Cub, or an airplane that looks very Cub-like anyway. So no wonder they call this the I-Cub. That's the reason why. But just generally, look around this airplane in here. Now, of course, it's a welded tube and fabric covered airplane, so it doesn't have fancy interior panels made out of plastic and carpet and stuff, but it's finished very nicely inside and out. You've got, of course, a nice big long joystick on it, and of course that's dual, one in the front, one in the back. You've got dual rudder pedals on both sides with toe brakes. You can see the little pad up on the top there, and they exist on the back seat as well. So you've got a full set of dual controls. You can do training in this airplane, or you can just have it for a joy machine where 2 pilots might enjoy.
And what do they power this one with then?
Well, this one's a little different. All of our other Cub replicas that we've got from American Legend and Cub Crafters mostly use the Continental engine, which weighs about 30 pounds more at minimum, in some cases more than that, than the one in this. That's because this is Rotax power. This is a 912 ULS engine in it. They can offer it either as 80 or 100, but on this particular airplane, most people are going to use it with 100, because another option, in addition to all the wheels that are available, there's a float set that's available for this airplane, and this would make a really excellent float plane. While we're in the cockpit here, look over my shoulder a little bit here. Here's the flap handle, push detent, swings up into position. goes in nice audibly into the next position. I'll leave it there for now. Trim wheel above that, a nice big trim wheel so you get nice precise movement, and right above that the throttle, which of course links to the back seat where there's another set of that.
Now this has got one big monster door on it here too, Dan.
It does. Unlike some of the others, it does not have a door on the other side, and that's common to the original Piper Cub. They didn't have a door over there either, but they did not have something this big. This is a 5-foot door opening here, and it makes it, usually in any kind of a Cub, getting into the rear seat is quite a little exercise in contorting your body to get in there. In this one, I mean, anybody can get in that rear seat. Front seat takes a little bit more effort just because it's up here further, but you got a nice sturdy wing connect tube up here that you can hang on to while you're getting in. And it's really quite easy. You just kind of use the ladder way up into the airplane, and they've got some beautiful, comfortable looking leather seats in here. But this is a nice, wide, it doesn't have the same width, of course, as a side-by-side, but it's got a lot of lateral room in here, so big guys will fit in this airplane well. And when they go aloft, they can carry quite a bit of stuff with them. Because in the back here, after the rear seat, there's a lot of area back there, and you can put 60 pounds of luggage back in there, or whatever camping gear you might want to carry along with you. But the beautiful thing is, this is a little fun airplane. I'm told it flies really well at 50 miles an hour, and the door that's right above my head here now and being held up can be opened or closed in flight up to 70 miles an hour or 60 knots. But once you have that thing wide open, I mean, you got a really open cockpit airplane here, at least on one side. So I'm told that a little bit of good pilot technique, slipping the airplane or skidding the airplane a little bit, helps you get the door open and closed. So it's another way to train better.
Now this is the I-Cub, but they also offer several other models. I believe the Classic and the Savage as well?
Yes, they have, I've forgotten all the exact names of the various models, but here's the important thing. The one we're looking at here is loaded to the gills. The big tires, the extended gear, the iPad, the iPhone, all that. Even this one, loaded like this, is under $100,000. I think the number is $99,000. But then that steps down in a variety of equipment packages, which include smaller wheels with fairings and things like that, various options. But if you go down to the basic one, what they call the Classic, that's only $77,000. So in these days of what some people lament are too expensive light sport aircraft, here's one of your more modest ones. And to close it off, this is done by a company called Zlin, Z-L-I-N. They are a long-time aircraft producer in Europe. These folks know how to make airplanes. They've made much bigger airplanes than this, and they're many years in the business, and you can depend on what they're putting together here.
So if we want to get some more information, Dan, where would we go?
Well, this airplane is now being represented by a new distributor. That's Sport Air USA, the same people behind the Sting and the Sirius, which come from the Czech Republic and are carbon fiber, totally unlike this. But now they've added this to their fleet, so they've got all three of those very different airplanes. This one called I-Cub, just remember that, and then .aero. So I-C-U-B, iCub.aero is where you get all the information you want from these folks.
And have you done a flight report on this one?
I've flown the Savage, so there is a pilot report on my site on this. I'll wait my turn to get in the I-Cub here, but all that can be found on bydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com.